in the clinical studies. Typically, it was escalation in the doses every 4 weeks, and that will get you to the treatment trial effects. However, most patients like a more individualized approach, and so asking patients how their weight has been going, asking them if they've had any problems, and then titrating and letting them be the guide of what dose is correct has been more effective for us in the clinic. In general, though, the GLP-1 medicines are not magic. They will reduce weight over a 1 to 2 year period, and taking the medicines away typically has a return of the weight to baseline, or at least some of that weight. And we know that patient adherence is low because patients are often not educated on the side effect profile. And so education and a structured program seems to be the key in order to bring these patients to a objective and a goal to, in our case, to help people get to a kidney transplant. So I'm gonna let Dana talk about structured weight loss program.
Right. And people can hear me? Great. So when we think about structured weight loss programs, it needs to be something that's comprehensive, that deals with the whole person, but also the whole sort of medical picture, and also all the behaviors and social drivers of health. And what we found was that there are different ways that are commonly available. So we have structured sort of commercial meal replacements, support, and that multidisciplinary weight loss programs. What we did was we took the DPP program, the Diabetes Prevention Program, and Prevent T2. Dr. Sisson is a certified coach, and we were able to train our workforce, which was us and our PharmD and NP students. And what we had was an increased referral rate, and the goal is to reduce weight by at least 7% using behavior modification, a low-fat diet, and 150 minutes of exercise per week. Those are the tenets of DPP. So evidence supporting intensive weight loss interventions for Diabetes Prevention Program, the National DPP Lifestyle Change Program. What we did was it had randomized control trial comparing placebo medication, which was metformin. So it was a while ago, and intensive weight loss. Weight lifestyle intervention. And at average, the 3-year follow-up, the lifestyle intervention reduced the incidence of diabetes by 58% compared to placebo. So what we need to take away from that is that lifestyle intervention was really impactful. During the same period, metformin reduced the incidence of diabetes by 31%. So think about that. Metformin reduced by 31%, but really diabetes with the intensive lifestyle intervention had significant outcomes compared to placebo. So the details of the National DPP Lifestyle Change Program. So train lifestyle coaches, facilitate group sessions of up to 20 participants, so it's scalable. The programs follow the specific curriculum and national standards, and they're very rigid about that. They really want you to follow their set curriculum. It emphasizes participant empowerment through that personal action plan, and people create individualized SMART goals at the end of each session. And then program providers are required to submit data. So what's interesting about DPP is it is a reimbursable service. And because you have trained lifestyle coaches and you have this curriculum, so it's reimbursable, retrospectively reimbursable, so that if your program is not very set up clearly, it's a challenge to implement. So what is the DPP program? Again, DPP is evidence-based by trained lifestyle coaches. It includes 16 weekly sessions, then followed by monthly maintenance sessions. The goal is for participants that 5% weight loss and 150 minutes of physical exercise. The CPPI provides that oversight and that quality assurance that all national DPP programs ascribe to the same curriculum and intervention. It is a long intervention. It is a year in person or online. So again, the first 6 months is that weekly meeting. And then the next 6 months is monthly or bi-monthly. So it is an investment in time and effort, and it's a high touch, high engagement program. So again, the minimum is 5% weight loss at 6 months. For the categories of the Prevent T2 topic sessions, I'm not going to read them all, but we have healthy eating, physical activity, and then what's very important, the psychosocial, the emotional aspect of eating, which we find is really not addressed often. So we're constantly pinging on these categories throughout the curriculum in numerous ways and different topics. So how did we take the DPP program and go with student learning? So all of our learners are offered and encouraged to become lifestyle coaches. So we have PharmD students with Dr. Sisson. We had the NP students. So we have nurse practitioner students coming through. The master's level and now doctoral level NP students. We also had several faculty, myself, now a lifestyle coach, but also dietitian and nutrition, the diabetes educators, and then we have the dietetic interns that also are all now trained to be lifestyle coaches. PharmD and NP students serve as individual lifestyle coaches. How does that integrate into our clinic? So when they are in clinic or outside as part of their education, they make weekly calls and or text messages with our participants. High touch, high engagement. They are able to then review the content if they had a missed session, or they reinforce the content of that session if they have any questions, individualizing it from the group even more to the individual. They check on the action plan and their progress. Remember, we talked about those SMART goals that each patient develops at the end of each session, and they serve as an information source and then opportunities to lead each session, meaning the lifestyle coach would take one of those sessions and lead it and then have that content going through. So they got a mix of different people delivering the content.
One of the things that we realized several years ago was that since obesity is tied to so many different things, not only diabetes, but cardiovascular disease, kidney disease, that there needed to be sort of a common message that was coming out from all of our students that were educating patients. And so one of the things that we did here at VCU was to integrate the lifestyle coaching training into our first year pharmacy course. And because many of the content areas that were already in that course actually overlapped with the diabetes lifestyle coach training, it was a natural fit. And so now as the students go through that fall of their first year, when we talk about motivational interviewing, we talk about group facilitation, it's in the context of the diabetes prevention program. And so patients or students come out of that course with a lifestyle training certification and are eligible to deliver that content. For us in the COMPKT program, that made them eligible to participate in working with our patients that were awaiting kidney transplant. Another aspect of this overlay of the content is related to the educational outcomes that the schools of pharmacy are expected to teach their students. And so we were able, by integrating the DPP lifestyle coach training content, we were able to meet many of these educational outcomes for our accreditation in not just a hypothetical sense, but in a very real world sense that students could then take out into the community.
So we were presented with a real life clinical problem in that the division of nephrology had all these patients that were waiting for kidney transplant. And then they were also having tough time with post-transplant outcomes, meaning a lot of resources were being devoted to sort of putting the patients back together. If they had complications or their diabetes became significantly worse, or interestingly, there's a concept called NODAT, new onset diabetes post-kidney transplant. So we were called in and we met with the division chief and Dr. Gupta, and we were saying, he's like, how can we work on this? And we talked with the PharmD there, we talked with a nurse practitioner, we talked with several physicians, and we talked with the whole team, and we reverse engineered the concept of working with patients prior to kidney transplant, taking from that eligible patient profile of the patients living with obesity or overweight to then develop a program that would help optimize their health and reduce weight so then they could be eligible for a kidney transplant and hopefully have better health outcomes post-transplant. So a patient would be referred to us if they had a BMI of over 40. They would then go through our comprehensive weight loss program. If they were eligible for a GLP-1 medication, we started that in our clinic. And then they would participate in the Prevent T2 curriculum and be monitored by outpatient monitoring as well. And they had that medical and nutrition, and they had the diabetes education. So what did our population look at? What did they look like? So it was predominantly female, more so 61%, and then predominantly African American, and age was over 55, give or take. But what we want to also show is that most patients were living with type 2 diabetes. We had some with type 1 or just regular living with obesity or overweight. So the average BMI or baseline BMI, these were heavier people. So a BMI of 41 plus. And an interesting thing is we were pulling from all over the state. What was the farthest? We had people from like over 2 hours away.
Yes.
That were referred to us. And so distance from the transplant center here was significant. So we had to accommodate we were thinking in person or virtual. And we actually went with virtual because of so high numbers of people living far from the transplant center. So the outcomes, what happened? What was the impact of our work? And it comes down to a few slides. It always does. So the COMPKT median weight change was really highly correlated with attendance and GLP-1. But what we really want to show is on the left-hand side, no GLP-1 medication, because some people did not qualify. These patients, if they attended more than 50% of the sessions, had significant weight loss. If they had the GLP-1, they also lost weight. But what we want to really highlight is that visit attendance was a stronger predictor of weight loss than GLP-1 alone. Anything else you want to comment on that, Dr. Simpson?
Yeah, so I think looking at the no GLP-1 use, the orange bar, if you just came to the sessions, you had more weight loss than people that got GLP-1s and didn't come to the sessions. So it just underlines this idea that prescribing a GLP-1 or getting access to a GLP-1 is just part of the part of the equation. And so it's really engaging with a structured program that can support people through that behavior change.
And so as you do quality improvement of our dynamic study, we had a couple outcomes in our first cohorts that we wanted to learn from and adapt and improve our intervention as we were coming through. And so what you'll notice on this revision is that we had eligible patients. We actually lowered the BMI criteria from 40 to 35 because patients wanted to be part of this. The referring Department of Nephrology Transplant wanted to have more impact with patients and optimize these patients because of the health outcomes. So we lowered it to 35. We continued the GLP-1 evaluation, but what we found was that we wanted to have a little bit shorter of a intervention because 16 weeks is a long time. And we found that they sort of reached density of the content earlier. So let's shorten it so we could cycle people through more and we could really keep it relevant. So we refined the weekly group education to shorter intervention. And then what was one of the game changers is we integrated culinary medicine because we were talking about a lot of things, but patients honestly weren't changing their eating habits very much. And so we looked at ways to do that, and we settled on culinary medicine interventions and what we'll go over. So it was lowering the BMI, shortening the education, and adding a new element of culinary medicine. Good. But what is culinary medicine? People have always asked me this. And so when we think about eating behavior and we think about food and nutrition, the American Diabetes Association has key nutrition principles that we go over with our patient population, but it's quite vague and abstract. I mean, look at this graphic. This is what we're supposed to give our patients. Include all these vegetables, lean protein, and grains, minimize red meat and sugar sweetened beverages. So the message is there, but people don't know how to operationalize it. How do we know this? Well, the data suggests and repeatedly has come out that the standard American diet is a poor diet. It is sad. Low fruit intake, meaning that most people are not eating enough fruits and vegetables. We know that. 12% meet the fruit intake recommendations. 10% meet the vegetable recommendations per the FDA. I know. And then reading the new dietary guidelines is always exciting. I won't go there. So our patients struggle because it's a daily struggle, every day. What's the question? What am I going to eat for dinner? It's like our adult dilemma. So we're told to eat healthy and move more, but how do we get that? Because the message are you should eat less than 2 grams of sodium or salt. Well, what is that? People don't know how to do that. So translating these recommendations to real life is the key. Making it individualized for patients, working within the social determinants of health, of budgetary, and then the concept of buying healthy food. Only letting healthy food into the house is one of our big things. So why culinary medicine for patients? Culinary medicine is a preventative rather than reactive. It's instilling these concepts, ideas, and just not telling people what they can't eat. Low kitchen confidence, and I really want to drive this home, and lack of skills. We are 2 generations into a lot of people working, meaning moms and grandmas started working about 2 generations ago, a big wave. And what's happened is in our society, people have lost the knowledge of how to cook. It takes 2 generations to lose a skill, and we're there. People don't know how to cook based on our culture. We're a convenience eating culture. We have a lot of processed foods. People are not confident in the kitchen, and they lack the basic culinary skills on how to cook. So then that results in low fruit and vegetable intake, right? Because we're a high processed food society. What we need to learn is how to cook, the skills, focus on flavor and nutrition, and to keep it on a budget. Because people eat food, they don't eat macronutrients. We always tell them more fiber, more protein, but they don't know how to do that. And guess what? People really only want to eat what tastes good. So how can we get this message out to people that healthy food is financially rewarded and it can taste good? So culinary medicine is where we take the art of food and cooking, we couple it actively in our sessions with the science of medicine, and it's a food-first approach to getting evidence-based research into the clinic visit and beyond, really into the kitchen and what patients are doing. And it's not just one person. And what we want to show is that it's many people. So this is what we did. The comprehensive weight program included the DPP groups on a weekly or monthly session, but then we incorporated culinary medicine every month, which was initially at the Health Hub, but we've now actually had a great opportunity and we've been doing it at Reynolds Kitchen. It includes supermarket tours where we take people through the supermarket and teach them how to shop, because healthy eating starts in the supermarket. We do active cooking demonstrations that the participants get in and cook also with us. We have tastings of different foods and different flavors, combinations that are culturally relevant that actually the patients vote for. They select the meals that we're going to cook, and we also provide them that meal to take home, and we instruct individual goals during those sessions. And what we found was that one-on-one cooking skills, those culinary medicine sessions really energized the group. And as we grew, we were able to have a community partnership with the kitchen at Reynolds as part of Reynolds Community College. So we bring everyone together, students, patients, faculty, and the culinary arts students, where they can learn to cook healthfully, and also the impact of the food that they make as culinary arts students impacts the health of people that they prepare for. So everyone teaches, everyone learns. The students learn from the patients, from the culinary arts students, and it's really an active experiential learning lab on how to translate nutrition into healthy eating, which then improves health outcomes. I just wanted to have a little demonstration of what we do is we take commonly eaten foods and we modify them. So chicken salad is pretty much crosses all cultures in some form or fashion. But what we do is we modify it. One, we take a rotisserie chicken that's already cooked. So this is a cooking on a budget, on a timeline of I get home from dinner, do I have everything? You grab a rotisserie chicken. Then instead of mayonnaise, we use avocado. And that's the binder. And to get down to the science of it, it works. Everything holds together. And then we put in the fibrous rich vegetables, the inulin, which is an onion, the celery, which is a wonderful starch. But then look at all, then we do lime, garlic, cumin, all these wonderful things to then jazz it up with flavor. And then we take it even one modification more, and then you can put spice on it and different little sauces, like you can tweak it to be a buffalo avocado chicken salad, which is really great, or balsamic. And so we teach people how to modify recipes to make recipes healthier. And I think Dr. Sisson's family can attest to this is on a standard rotation in your family.
Yeah, so the real test of whether or not these things work is you take it home and you give it to your kids. And actually just this weekend, we were at an impasse of what to have for dinner. And my daughter said, could we have that avocado chicken salad again? Because it's been a week or so. So you try these things out at home and you find out that it really does work.
And when we make it, people are knee deep in making it, and then they eat it in our culinary medicine sessions, and then they take it home. Often I'll make the spice mix and give the spice mix with the patients to take home. So then they have a prompter to then make that at home. Our nurse practitioner students, this is one of the recipes that we make with them in our integrated curriculum. And they always come back and say they love it. So, right, it's family tested, teenager approved. So what was the secret to COMPKT? And this is an exemplar case. This is one of our patients that we worked with over time. And just want to look, he was 55-year-old living with type 2 diabetes, diabetic retinopathy, end-stage renal disease, on hemodialysis, hyperlipidemia, hypertension, obesity, heart failure, obstructive sleep apnea, and anemia. This is the typical patient that we manage in class. And then they come to us and they're like, we need you to lose weight. So you have to have a holistic approach, factoring in all these comorbidities. But guess what? These people meet criteria and they're not excluded from GLP-1 treatment. So he was on 20 units of glargine plus all his other meds. The insurance denied the GLP-1. So we were working with that, and we continued fighting for it, and we were able to get it through, definitely Dr. Sisson's wizardry with the insurance company. But you start people on a low dose, and he was enrolled in COMPKT. So he continued on his glargine, he started Ozempic and enrolled in COMPKT. And if you look, about 3 months later, we're increasing his Ozempic, because you have to go low and slow with these patients. And we were decreasing the glargine. So lessening the insulin also makes it a little bit easier for for the body to give up the weight, and utilizing the GLP-1 to help with weight loss. And then a few months later, we were able to increase his Ozempic further and stop insulin. So a major pharmacologic change, but what we really saw was a 55-pound weight loss after starting the COMPKT program. That's earth-changing. And he really, just the weekly groups classes made a difference. He would come to the culinary hands-on session, and each week he was there, very positive and dynamic force. For the COMPKT outcomes, we started with 39 really, but 34 active participants at the end. 8 were removed from eligibility for pending review, but basically 3 were temporarily inactive, and we lost 1 to follow-up. But of those 34 patients, 18 patients were switched on to the transplant list, meaning they were not excluded because of weight. So 18 were on the eligibility list to get kidneys, and 8 patients have been successfully transplanted and doing very well.
And that eligibility evaluation is done by the nephrology transplant team. And so 8 were removed by that committee. But we feel like the COMPKT program, we felt really good that of the 34 that actually went through the program, 18 did make the list. And then of those, 8 were transplanted.
Kudos out to our COMPKT research team, Dr. Sisson and myself, but Dr. Wheeler, Kirthy, who graduated, wonderful. Johanna Christensen is the nurse practitioner that is over there, and Dr. Gupta is the division chief. Mm-hmm.
So where do we go from here? So COMPKT, we felt was successful, and we were very excited about that. But what we learned from it was the value of culinary medicine, and so we're thinking about how do we expand and work in that realm. And so we have a variety of initiatives that are underway from a research standpoint, looking at continuing to combine DPP with the culinary medicine program, as well as looking at, currently we're using pharmacy students and nurse practitioner students as our mechanism to keep people engaged in their behavior change, but looking at possibly using AI to promote ongoing behavior change for these patients. From a partnership standpoint, I think the emergence of the GLP-1s has really increased the awareness and the importance of weight loss. And so groups like Feed More and Meals on Wheels are interested in their population, thinking about how do we help this population not only get access to food, but get access to healthy food, and then know what to do with it. And so we're working with them, as well as continuing to work with the kidney transplant program. But all of this can start with grants, and that's where we started. But looking at sustainability and what are those models? One model would be to incorporate shared medical visits in with these culinary medicine sessions. And so we're looking at doing that, as well as creating, we already have at School of Pharmacy, integration of the life coach training into our curriculum, our main curriculum, but looking at expanding that and offering a specific interprofessional elective course specifically in culinary medicine.
And students from nursing and pharmacy and other educational tracks have expressed a lot of interest in it, so we're excited. And this is us. We are blessed to have a web page.
Thank you, CPPI.
Thank you, CPPI, because that's where it's living. So this is Dr. Sisson is the one that took the picture. Oh, or is that Sydney? That was you. So this is Chef Jesse Miller. Jesse Miller is the director of the Culinary Arts program at Reynolds, who was instrumental in our partnership with Reynolds Kitchens. He also has given us the ability to share. He lives with type 1 diabetes, so he's a very motivated partner that helps us with making sure that our meals are balanced and flavorful and gives us cooking tips and comes in. And the colleague, I'm in the middle looking savage. And then Dr. Cloutier, our other member, who does work in the nutritional status of people living with cancer and breast cancer survivors. And so the three of us are here, and we are excited to bring culinary medicine throughout VCU and for our students, for our patients, and out in the community.
So we were excited to present our research topic, but also talk about kind of where we are, what we learned and where we are going from here. But we'd be happy to answer any questions that you all might have about our program and